15
you,
days?
I think you have to define a time period. Kristen, what's your usual lead time prepping this stuff?
We're already past that for this year.
You know,
I mean, in normal years, everything's approved at the February meeting, and then I send out the resolutions, and then they have like a month to pass them, but we're running out of time, so I'm not sure if we could grant an extension, I don't know.
I don't know the answer. Forrest, do you, I know that'd be a question you would have to probably look at and research.
Yeah, well, their drop dead date, their deadline is the end of the month, March 31st, right?
Correct.
Okay, so anytime up to that, or anytime up to a week before that, say, March 25th.
15 days?
I mean, that gives them basically 15 days.
So, I just wanna make sure I'm understanding the process. So we're gonna send them a letter saying that the Budget Commission is considering that 1.9 seems to fall in excessive rollback. Excessive collections, and do they want to respond, and how do they want to respond?
We're inviting them to propose a voluntary rollback that addresses this issue and on or before that date.
Yeah, I like the wording of that.
And then vote.
Right.
Okay.
To roll back if they were willing to roll back on their own. With vote from the board. You're better at wording this.
I think you did, just did.
Forrest.
Kristen, you have any questions on it? John?
So can you read back the motion?
Actually, we want to do both. So we're gonna send Brunswick a letter. We're going to table a vote on their budget. Pending a letter being sent to them, asking that the proposal of a voluntary rollback, and that the Budget Commission is considering 1.9 as excessive collections.
I think we ought to have two separate motions. Number one, and if it's okay, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there.
Please.
So for the first motion is, I move that the board send a letter to Brunswick with the language of the consideration that $1.9 million may be considered excessive collections, and we are inviting the school district to propose a voluntary rollback that addresses that issue on or before March the 25th of 2026. That's my first motion.
Okay, so the 25th is gonna be a Budget Commission meeting.
Whatever,
Yeah.
if we have to have another meeting.
Yeah.
So, okay,
All right, so with that, anything else you want to add to it?
so we have a motion, we have a second.
We have a second, how do we vote?
Aye.
3 ayes, 3 ayes,
Okay.
motion passes. Motion number 2.
The second motion is that, with the passage of that motion that I table, I'm moving to table the final determination on budget consideration for Brunswick, Brunswick City School District, pending the additional information that is scheduled to receive. We are scheduled to receive on or before March the 25th.
Second.
How we vote? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Number 2. Anya, are you back on the agenda here for a minute?
Yeah.
Highland.
Yeah, where is Highland?
Highland, yeah. No, we'll prep the rest. Can I put it on? Yeah. I'm gonna do Highland before Buckeye.
Okay.
I don't want to confuse you, sorry.
It's okay.
No,
I
yeah.
just noticed it's not. So then, I'll do an amendment to add Highland to our agenda.
So, second?
Second, how we vote?
Yes.
Aye, Highland next, okay. There we go. Got it. All right, I see two bond levies here. Who do we, Kristen, they got a substitute levy.
That is kind of a newfangled emergency, but that's also classified under the emergencies. So with a regular emergency, it is passed for a certain amount, they do not get growth or anything, they always get that fixed amount. But a substitute levy kind of acts like an emergency levy, but they do get growth for new construction every year,
Okay.
based on that.
Piggyback is 290,000 for 10.
We've got one,
What's
two,
the
three,
reserve?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 current expense levies
Yes,
dating back to 76.
yes.
They don't get the growth on that, do they?
No.
Yeah, they're at the floor, or
Yeah, they get the
Yeah.
floor dollars.
they got about 5 million or something.
Yeah, I mean, Chris.
So they are at the
Yes.
floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
They are
Yeah,
newly
they're
at the floor, they just became at the floor, at the 22 try.
After
We
the
did.
levy passed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're getting 5.2 million.
Looking at my note, reserves, what do they have there? Two different numbers.
Well, what I've got here is, so reval's gonna bring in 5.2 million. So they've gone in revenue from 2024, 39.9 million to 42 million in 25, 44.4 million in 26, and 46 in 27. So some healthy growth there. Expenses almost are identical to revenue in 24, it's 39,100,000. 25, they jump up to 47 million. Top of my head, I don't remember why that was. Then they drop back down in 26 to 45 million. So those 2 years, 25, 26, they're actually at a deficit, taking away some of the reserve. And then in 27, they're 46 million, so right in between those last two in expenses. So the reserves moved from 23 million to 17 million to 16 million to 17 million. So they're right around 58% in 24, but again, they passed that levy, so they got some additional revenue, and they drop back to 37 to 40% reserve after that. I have a note that on that 5.2 million, they had considered in their budget a $2.1 million increase. So that leaves about 3.1. They have a piggyback of, was it 924,000? I had a note on that, but I didn't look again on my sheet upstairs.
On Highland?
I don't have it, no.
Their piggyback's 290,000.
290,000 for 10.
Okay, that's just a previous
Yeah,
estimate we
that's okay.
had, that's all.
I just wanna make it on the same
Okay,
page.
so you got new 290,000 there,
Yes.
so,
Now Highland does include a percentage from Summit County as well.
Yeah. Very small, but
So
yes.
like 12 students or something.
Yeah. Why?
12 students?
Like why, right.
Yeah. Great, why, just.
Well, they're
enough to
saying-
mess everything
Why?
up.
Okay. I mean, I guess the reason that they have those 12 students are important is because the values for the school district are $12,490,000 for those 12 students. Maybe that's why they're concerned with Summit County students.
All right, let's go back and look at the 5.2 million revale monies.
John, what do you consider to be oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were doing that.
No, I'm just, yeah. No, I was just doing simple math, I mean, just the 5.2 minus, they had in their projection of 2.1 million in increase, I think that's exactly what they had in their budget.
3.1.
Between 25 and 26, are we talking, or?
Yeah, once again, the long-term projections.
That's a 2.1, they're between 25 and 26 in general property tax increase, okay? They've got a 3 million when you put the other stuff with it, okay? But I was just looking at taxes because that's the revaluation increase. So that's exactly what they put in there. So I mean, if you take the 5.2 less the 2.1 they already put in there, and then you take their 290,000, you're at about, 2.8 million. Is that excess? Kind of what we were talking about on the
What's
other.
their carryover?
Their carryover is, 24 is 23 million, goes to 17, then 16, then 17. So they're gonna stay in the next 3 years about 37 to 40% of their total operating. Which I don't have an issue with that as a percentage of reserves.
No,
It's
no.
not 100%.
Just how much do they need?
Do they need that
How much do
additional?
they need? That's the question.
Well, actually, no, the actual legal question is that amount excessive? Does it constitute an excessive collection? Because I think that's what the statute says. And I'm in the same quandary with them that I am in Brunswick.
Mhm.
And I suggest that perhaps we address the same way for purposes of equity. We reach out to the school and see if they want to do a voluntary rollback, and these are the target numbers. That would be my recommendation.
Now,
And they were
2.8 does not include the clawback, but we don't know what that is. And
Right.
then the other, we said.
But we said we can look at it again next year.
That's right.
Revisit
That's
it.
right. So I don't have a problem doing the same.
Same thing?
I think it's kind of the same situation.
Two motions again for us.
I would, yes.
Motion number one,
So motion number one would be for the board to approve the,
approve or table?
no, the second one is the table. Because the second motion is contingent upon the approval of the first motion.
Read back our motion we
We
came
did-
up with before and just
Oh,
plug in
okay.
a new
Okay,
number.
okay.
Right, yeah.
For Brunswick, okay.
Oh, you want me? So the board moves, the motion is for the board to send a letter to, in this case, it would be Highland School District with I don't know if you wanna actually put a dollar amount, excess, with X amount of excess funds. We are inviting the district to propose a voluntary rollback that would address this issue, and we'd like to have the answer by March 25th.
So we have everything with a number in.
You wanna put 2.8?
I think the 2.8 is the appropriate number.
I'm okay with it.
So that would be my motion.
All right, motion number one.
Second.
Second, how do we vote? Aye.
All in favor?
Now motion number two with.
Motion number two is that we table the determination of the final resolution on Highland School District, Highland Local School District, pending their response to our letter of inquiry, with the deadline of March 25th, 2026.
John, you understand the motion? Anything to add?
No.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Give
I'll
me a
second. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
you second.
now do we vote? Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. obviously need to be aware, particularly the auditor's office, needs to be aware that we're going to have to field some questions, because they've never seen a letter come to them like that. So we just need to anticipate that we're gonna be receiving some communication saying, basically, why me, what do you want, and how can I touch this?
All right, next, Buckeye.
Here we are.
All right. That's the biggest folder.
I got more paperwork with this.
I do too. John, what was the number we were talking about? 118%?
133.
I'm sorry?
133 is what I remember, 133%, but maybe, yeah,
I want to make sure.
that's what I remember.
Yeah, hold on, let me get this stuff here.
Forrest, do you remember that?
Yeah. I don't remember the hard numbers.
She does.
Yeah, I guess it depends on which line on Schedule B you're taking, but, they've got revenues, let's see, 24,
4
30
million.
million, what, revenue,
Okay,
total revenue.
got it.
30 million moving to 33, and 26 moving to 37. Their expenses, 24, in 2024 it was about 24 million. In 25 it was 59 million, that's due to the transfer that took place. Out of the general and into an improvement fund. And
The transfer, John, the transfer, how much was that again? Was it 30?
let me see, I think it was,
Maybe I'm overstating.
let's see.
Thirty-two, right? 32 million,
I'm looking for it.
if you can find that number.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why I couldn't find it. I still had highlighted. So let me go back and redo that, okay. Okay, sorry. Scratch what I just said.
Got it.
I was still looking at Highland. I don't know why I didn't pull my paper out further. Okay, so,
Okay.
Buckeye, in 24, we've got, actually, those were correct figures, 30 million to 33 to 37. Expenses 24 to 59 to 37. And that transfer, I just didn't have that out there. That dropped their cash value, it was 32 million.
Okay.
So that dropped the reserve, so the reserve was 33 million, that's over 100%, 111% of operating expenses in 24. It dropped it from 33 million down to 6, and that's about 11% of their operating expenses. Which I don't know, I mean, looking at, Cloverleaf and Black River and everything else, I mean, 11% is not much
But,
in number of days.
No, but
they
that's an
moved the money.
artificial manipulation.
They moved the money.
I understand.
It's not that they didn't have the money,
The cheese bed moved,
and my question is whether or not that move is legitimate.
yeah. And
Because these all
I don't
came
know.
from, I think the one thing that we can look at Buckeye, and I think we can have a little more level of confidence, is that it moved, chances are that money moved from current expense levies. Because they have 6 of them. They only have one emergency levy, and that's 3.2 collection. But it was renewed, looks like last year of collection on that will be 2027. So, to me, they moved $32 million from the general fund, correct? To what, capital improvement?
Capital improvement, that's what it
And they
was
did
like.
that in order to build a school building. Because they couldn't get a levy passed.
Right, they had 3 levies for
Right.
improvement,
Okay.
fund, money, yeah, lost, and the last one was like 2-1, I think.
I understand the motivation behind it. And I'm not being judgmental. But for me, this is exactly what my office is currently looking at as to whether or not those transfers are legally permissible. And I don't know the answer to that. And Dr. Hill has sent me some information, I wanna look at that. But I just, I'm uncomfortable approving something that if we had to unravel it because we determined that those transfers were not appropriate. And again, I simply don't have the answer at this point as to whether or not I'm comfortable with that.
So it looks like they took their 25 actual and increased the property tax revenue by 2.1 million, up to 23 million. 21.3 to 23.4 million.
I'm sorry, John, I didn't hear that.
I said, it looks like they had taken their property tax actual 25 and into 26, they went from 21.3 million in property tax revenue to an estimated 23.4 million. That's a 2.1 million increase. I don't know, I don't have anything in my notes of whether that was, they indicated whether that was the revaluation or what, but that was the increase that they projected. Their piggyback is 232,000. And the reserves would be over 100% if they hadn't transferred the money. I forget how they changed their plan for buildings and renovation, I think, but if I go back and look, I think they were saying they're gonna move some of that money into more of a maintenance of the building type of thing. So they can spend money that way, I guess.
Kristen, I'm just looking at my notes.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. For Buckeye. What was their last one, their last letter?
Oh, so they actually only have, one levy that's an actual voted levy, the rest
Okay.
of are operating, so they have
Okay.
their emergency levy that last collects in 27.
Thank you.
570513 subsection C states that when they're creating the capital project fund, which I have effectively is what they've done, must be created by ordinance or resolution, which I'm assuming was done. The resolution ordinance must identify the asset to be acquired. Once again, my concern, I don't know the legality, I don't know the legitimacy, but I do know this, that in general in general legal evaluation, funds that are derived from a levy do not lose their identity. So if the funds came in under a general operating budget or the general operating levy, and the language was, relaxed enough or open enough, then I think that would probably be a legitimate move. But if it's more restrictive, I think it could be problematic. And I think we would have to take a look at each one of these operating levies, how they were passed and what the language was, under what subsection of the statute they were approved. And we go back to 76, 78, 88, 94 for renewal, 95, and 96. We can go back and look at the renewals, because these are all continuous, but we could go back and look at the renewals from when they were renewed, because they would have had to have been on the ballot at that time. Again, I'm not suggesting anyone has done anything wrong, but I really think it
Well,
needs to be taken a look at.
yeah, so I see us tabling this too, and
Yes.
allowing the prosecutor to look into those
And get an answer.
details and get an answer there, and,
And the Attorney General's opinions can be very helpful, absolutely. I just want to make sure that we're prudent.
With that being said, we'll put that motion in, John.
well, that's the second motion.
Yeah.
Tabling